911 emergency, Hernandez 8480.
My wife's been shot, and there's a guy in my house, and I shot him.
Is he hurt too?
I hope he's dead.
A woman was shot to death tonight during an apparent home invasion. Her husband then shot the masked intruder to death.
Oh, God. Sharon.
What's your name? What's your name, sir?
Tom.
I thought immediately Tommy Randolph set the entire thing up.
Police arrested a man in Clearfield, a man who was accused of hiring a hitman to kill his wife, then of killing the hitman himself.
Hello? It's just totally nonsense, and they know this. The only person I've ever killed was in self-defense.
My dad has always proclaimed his innocence.
It was like they had almost painted him guilty before they even went to trial.
Thomas Randolph had been married 6 times.
I'm addicted to love. I'm a true romantic. Yes, I cheated on my wife. I sold drugs. Yes, I made lots of money. That doesn't make me a killer.
He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room.
I'm cocky.
He could be very persuasive when he wanted to be.
I don't know if my dad's innocent or guilty.
Unlucky at love? No, I'm the luckiest son of a gun there is.
What version of events is the truth? Is it Thomas Randolph, the victim? Or is it Thomas Randolph who conspires to kill his wife, Sharon?
You want my version of my history? Your version. You won't like my version.
Boom, boom, boom!
My name is Deidre Marley. I met Sharon at a senior living community. I was a manicurist. Sharon was a hairdresser. We hit it off immediately. It's like you're instant friends. We laughed about everything. The residents loved Sharon, and I did too. Sharon's husband had passed. She was lonely. She wanted to be married again. She wanted a husband. One day, she came into work and told me that she had met somebody on the internet.
Oh, here he is.
Hello? Can you see me?
We're good, yeah. Let's start with
Sharon.
Okay. After Francis died, I'm on Match.com. I keep getting these links from Sharon. I didn't respond to anybody. Finally, she says something. Hey, look, if you don't like me, that's fine. If you don't think I'm pretty, that's fine. But you're on a dating service. Maybe you like guys. Maybe you're on the wrong dating service. I mean, it pissed me off. And then I thought, well, who is this woman? So I give her a phone number. We started talking, and we have so much in common.
She said, well, his name is Thomas Randolph. Well, he's a widower. And I said, okay, you do have that in common. She was taken by him.
She was heaven. She's a great person. A great cook. She went to Woodstock. I mean, how cool is that? She doesn't eat mayonnaise or special sauce. Neither do I. Which means if she doesn't eat all of her prime rib sandwich, I can eat it because it's not got mayonnaise on it. I came to Vegas for her birthday. We went to Sharon's home, and that's where I stayed, and I ended up staying.
I remember him moving to Vegas from Utah fairly quickly.
I thought it was moving very quickly. I wanted her to be happy.
Everything we did was compatible. Best sex ever, best cook ever, best grandma ever, best friend ever.
It wasn't that long into the relationship when they went on a cruise and they had the captain marry them.
It was great. She's everything. She's wonderful. I didn't need anybody else. I had Sharon.
They would go out for dinners. They would gamble. They had put a swimming pool in the backyard.
I was happy, and I think Sharon was happy too.
But there was just something about Thomas William Randolph I could not warm up to. By then, Sharon had quit work. Tommy had talked her into quitting work. That's when the Sunday suit came off. Sharon never told me that Tommy was seeing another woman, even though I felt that he was.
Fidelity has never been my strong suit. I'm addicted to love. I'm a true romantic. Several of my wives know that I'm going to have other women. I've always cheated on my wives, but they love me.
Sharon, I can't say liked it, but she accepted it.
When it was Sharon, it was good. I had settled down other than still having my fling. But again, everybody knows about it, so I don't consider it cheating. Sharon was going to be my forever person. And then it all went wrong.
Sharon told me, she said Tommy was going to take her out to a nice steakhouse. It was Mother's Day. She was excited.
We went to a nice dinner for Mother's Day. We're getting ready to go to the movie, and she says, forget the movie, let's go home and have sex. And we're doing like 90 miles an hour. That 2 miles, we did it pretty quick to get home.
It was about around 8:30 at night. I was working on my Impala. I heard the neighbors pull up. So I look across the street, then the door closes, then I heard 3 rapid gunshots. And then I heard, like right after that, a little pause, another gunshot, another gunshot, another gunshot. 20 minutes later, all hell breaks loose.
911 emergency, Hernandez, 480.
My wife's been shot in the...
Is she awake?
No, she's shot in the head. I don't know for sure. I was going to try mount CPR.
Okay, put her
and the other
flat
guy,
on her back.
I shot him. He's...
Wait a minute. How many people are shot?
There's two. The guy that ran it out and her. And there's a guy in my house and I shot him.
Is he hurt too?
I just shot him a bunch of times as he had a gun and...
Okay, let's focus on your wife. Who shot your wife? He did?
He did.
Where is your wife in the house?
She's in the hall in the bedroom. She's been shot bad.
Okay.
Where's the guy you shot?
He's in the garage. He was running out the garage as I was getting out, as I was coming in.
Okay. Is he dead or what is he?
I don't know. Should I try to find his gun or something so he don't shoot me if he's not dead?
Metro?
I'm sorry. Did you make sure that he left or you're not sure if he's still in the garage?
He's in the garage. I can see him, but I mean...
Is he moving?
No.
Go get his gun. Go get his gun quickly. Okay. Are you alone?
Yes.
Okay, be careful, but get the gun.
Huh?
Be careful, but get his gun away from him. Is he alone?
Yes. Well, as far as I know, I just heard shots.
Okay, be careful.
Okay, I'm going to put this thing down and get my gun. He don't seem to be moving, and I got the gun.
Okay, you got his gun away from him?
Yeah.
Okay, let's focus on your wife. Put her flat on her back.
I'm going to lock the garage so he can't get in.
Okay. Sir, you got to do this quickly.
Okay.
Put her flat on her back.
Oh, there's blood everywhere.
All right. I'm going to help you, but I need you to listen to me so we can try to help her. You got to listen to me so we can try to help her. Okay, put her flat on her back.
Okay, hang on just a minute.
What's your status, Metro?
We've been en route for several minutes. There's our event number 3131.
Sir, can you hear me?
I can't roll it, but I had a bad back and she's just got guns everywhere. Oh, God. Sharon, oh.
A woman was shot to death tonight during an apparent home invasion. Her husband then shot the masked intruder to death.
The shooter, according to Randolph, was an unknown intruder. But is this a person who was a complete stranger? No, they say he had done handyman work for the couple. His name's Mike Miller.
Mike was a manual laborer. I hired him because I had a new swimming pool put in. Sharon swims naked. Sharon and I sometimes have sex out there in the hot tub in the jacuzzi, and the next door neighbors are complaining, hey, we can see you guys having sex out there, so we're going to put a couple of more rows of cinder block all the way around our house. I hired him to do the brickwork. I think Mike was playing me. I mean, obviously he was.
My name is David Stanton. I was a criminal prosecutor for 32 years. At the time that I was first briefed about the case, I was very interested in it because I'm a big fan of forensic sciences, and this was a very heavily focused forensic case. In this particular case, Dean O'Kelly was what we call the prime detective. He's an extremely experienced, very articulate, very meticulous homicide detective. He is the person, first and foremost, within observing that scene that says, something about this feels suspicious.
You okay, Tom?
Been a long day.
Thomas, do you understand the statement's being recorded?
Yes.
And you understand that we're wanting to talk to you about the incidents leading up to what happened in your house?
Yes.
Can you tell us what happened?
Equally as important as the forensics was what I didn't know, and that's the much broader story of Thomas Randolph and what had happened in his life leading up to these murders, specifically that he had been married 6 times and 4 out of his 6 wives were dead. Something was off about the scene. That, coupled with the past history of Thomas Randolph, made the detectives want to dig deeper.
You had employed a person by the name of Mike, is that correct?
Yes. He's also come over a lot just to watch ball games, and he's ate dinner with us.
Miller is semi-homeless at this time. He's a little down on his luck. Randolph finds Mike Miller, provides employment, handyman jobs around Randolph and Sharon's home.
Because he'd asked me for some money, and I told him I just couldn't do it. He was having a problem there. He was like calling every day and wanted to borrow just a couple of bucks.
When they investigated the crime scene, Mike Miller had a plastic grocery bag filled with Sharon Randolph's jewelry. Now, all of this is critical because Randolph's position was that Mike shot Sharon in the commission of a burglary.
You enter the house, and what do you see?
Sharon laying on the floor. She wasn't moving. I yelled, Sharon, and she didn't say anything. I started to go toward her, and then all of a sudden I got spooked again, grabbing a gun, and he came in and I shot him. I mean, I started shooting.
So how many times did you fire in that?
Just as many as I could. And
he turns around, and what happens then?
Goes to the door. I know I shot toward as he was going out too. And I went right with him to see where he was going, and went out there, and then he...
Okay. When you say the door, you talking about the door leading into the garage?
He was going for that, going out the garage.
Did you fire again in this hallway?
Yeah, I believe so. I just kept shooting. That's just all there was to it. I shot and shot and shot. And then he fell down, and there was all kinds of shit there. There was a couple of bags, and there was a cloth bag that is my stuff. Is the bag's mine or Sharon's? I don't know. And it had just an inch shit in it because the dispatcher told me to go get the gun and make sure it was away from him.
Very quickly, police began to notice holes in Thomas Randolph's story. He couldn't even pinpoint exactly when he recognized the intruder.
And he had a ski mask.
And did he have that pulled all the way down over his head?
No, it was looked like it had been rolled up once. Like just once, maybe.
So above his nose, below his nose?
Probably right below his nose, yeah.
I'm not going to remember every little detail. Sharon's laying there dead. He's got a gun.
And at some point, did you ever get a look at his face?
When I rolled him over, I could see it was his face, but...
And is that the person you knew was Mike?
Yes.
After the interrogation, Detective O'Kelly began to look for other evidence to either confirm or dispel the story that Randolph told them. And so he sets up an interview with Thomas Randolph at the Randolph home at the exact same time of night that the actual events took place. With the walkthrough video, everything changed.
My name is Tom Randolph, and it's my understanding we're doing a walkthrough of the house, kind of a reenactment of what happened last Thursday.
And you came out here on your own free will, right?
Correct. She's going in the house about right now.
The only person I've ever killed is Mike Miller. That was in self-defense.
Sure, my dad is weird and wild and could be a dick, but a killer, that's not the father I know. My father's always felt like the cops were trying to set him up.
In the old days, I was a pretty influential drug dealer and made a lot of money drug trafficking, smuggling. And that's what they get so upset about. And now they want Dino Kelly, super cop, to come and catch me. He threatened that if I don't do the interview, I'll just come and arrest you. He's got another agenda.
In this particular case, the worst thing for Thomas Randolph was Detective Dean O'Kelly.
It's your desire to come out here and do this for us, right? So that we can get an understanding of what was going on?
It's my desire, not my desire, but I'm cooperating with you.
Okay.
This is it, just coming on in the house. Now, this door was closed. I open it up. I get right here, and Sharon's laying in the floor, face down. I said, Sharon, Sharon.
I never questioned his innocence, but he's continued to make choices which make him look very, very, very bad. His Achilles heel is him talking.
At first, I thought maybe she had tripped over her own shoes, but she will leave 6 or 7 pair of shoes out. I don't know how many times I've hurt my back getting up in the middle of the night trying to be quiet because I don't sleep at nights. And all of a sudden it's, motherfuck, Sharon, Jesus.
And he's always been his own worst enemy.
I just had to jerk her. There wasn't, I mean, it wasn't like a gentle, loving thing by any means. It was like, and about the 3rd time it jerked enough that she got up kind of straight up and I could just kind of push her over. And she came over and it was the grossest thing I had ever seen in my life.
The demeanor Randolph had towards his wife speaks for itself. He doesn't want to touch her, doesn't want to give her resuscitative attempts to save her life, CPR, mouth to mouth. He wants nothing to do with her.
1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, and I'm really just getting tired.
They didn't think I was being sad enough. That's ridiculous. They don't know what I've went through.
I'm probably crying and yelling, Sharon, God damn it, fuck, Sharon, fuck, talk to me, something like that.
Also, when we did the walkthrough, I was high. I guess when you're high, when you're stressed out, you're not thinking clearly. Especially with Dino Kelly, I can't stand him.
We've switched tapes, and now we're on tape 2. And we're just going to go through some clarifying questions to get real specific about what we're dealing with here.
You could just see the way he talks to Detective O'Kelly that he has contempt for O'Kelly, that he's so much smarter than O'Kelly.
Dino Kelly is the most disgusting excuse for a man, little less a detective.
Into here, and he squared off on you. How did he get there?
He seen me, then he just turned around and just kind of, nope, he wasn't running. He was backing the whole time, just keep.
Thomas Randolph's story didn't match the crime scene. It was pretty clear that Mike Miller was shot in the garage, but Randolph's story was that he was shot in the hallway.
Of course, it's not going to be perfect. I mean, I was high when it happened. This is a fluid situation.
Randolph, thank you for coming in. Would there be people that would tell us that maybe you had something to do with this?
Yes.
You're an intelligent man.
I don't need to think. I was there. I know exactly. And else there was somebody else there besides Mike. Mike shot her.
And we've talked about Mike and Sharon's history. Tell me about yours.
You already know about mine. I don't need to tell you a goddamn thing. I don't need to tell you a damn thing. You know all about my history.
I want you to tell me.
You want my version of my history?
Your version.
You won't like my version.
The cops were talking about my dad as he was this monster, and the father, I know, could never be that.
Randolph is now accused of hiring a hitman to kill a new wife in Las Vegas, then turning around and killing the hitman himself. He resisted arrest yesterday at his mother's home in Clearfield. Randolph's mother maintains his innocence, as does he.
It was a circus. When I tell you what is really going on, it's all going to click, and you're going to say, unbelievable.
This is my dad box. This is where I keep all the memories of my father. I don't go in here very often because when I do, it's both really joyful but really painful at the same time. Now this is the dad I remember. This is in Indiana. He was playing slip and slide. We really did have some good times together.
He was fun. He was kind. He had a big heart. My dad was my hero when I was growing up. But he's always been eccentric, sometimes odd.
I was born in Fairfield, Illinois in 1955. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a rock and roll star because I'm the greatest drummer there is, next to Tommy Lee. I'll give Tommy Lee that. He's a better drummer than I am, but not by much. It was a little farm area. It's got one little convenience store with 2 gas stations. I had great parents. I had a great upbringing. Dad worked full-time for the Air Force. My mom worked as a bookkeeper, accountant.
From the time he was born, he was very loving. When he walked in the door 30 times, he kissed me. Tommy and I are very, very close.
My mother, I'm lucky. She's just absolutely wonderful. What I've always wanted is to have a marriage like my dad and my mom. And that's why I'm addicted to love. I'm a true romantic. We moved to Utah.
In high school, he just chose to run with an older crowd, and it got him into trouble.
I'm a partier. And you got all these good Mormon girls, and they would look at me as they walked by, 3 or 4 of them, and roll their eyes. You know, like, oh, how disgusting. And I'm thinking, I've slept with 3 of you. Back then, I had long hair, and I'm cocky, and I was just a blur between the drugs and, you know, just women and sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And then I met Kathy. I met her at a party. We're playing poker, and I caught her cheating, and she won the pot. She was beautiful. She looked like Farrah Fawcett Majors, the fluffy hair, except she just had no breasts whatsoever. But still, I decided she's smart enough to cheat. I was meant to be with her.
I've chosen not to be on camera because I lead a very private life. Yes, I've carted all these things around for years, thinking I might need these someday to defend myself. He was a very gregarious person. He made me laugh a lot. We started dating and I met his parents. They were very good to me, but in a way it was like you were beholden to them.
I think my dad and my grandma are very codependent. The Randolph side of the family, the waters run very, very, very deep. She's the matriarch of the family.
At that point, I accidentally got pregnant.
I had told my boys when they got old enough, if they're good enough to sleep with, remember, they're good enough to marry.
We married at 18. He was 20. Sometime later, I got pregnant for the second time with Krista. We did have some happy times. He was good with the kids, but the happy times were short-lived.
I was married to Kathy for 7 years, and during those 7 years, I screwed up and cheated on her. It's what I do, sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
It was humiliating. I never knew where he was half the time. Also, he had started getting involved with drugs and selling drugs.
I started selling drugs originally just to get drugs. You know, it's expensive. And then I found out that I'm really fucking good at it. I was really, really good at it. I liked the thrill. I could tell you stories of having a kilo in the car, an M16 semi-automatic, and a deer rifle.
I was not interested in that kind of lifestyle at all. To protect myself and the kids, I knew I had to get out. These are some of the terms of our divorce. This decree of divorce to become absolute and final April 7th, 1983. The day the divorce was final, Tom and Becky were married on that very day.
I was an asshole. Becky's who I cheated. Well, I cheated with a lot of people, but Becky, I was with Becky for the whole 7 years. I was with Kathy. I truly loved Becky, and Becky loved me. She would do anything for me. If I said, what do you want for dinner tonight? Oh, I want pizza, handmade, and I want you to dress up like a clown. And the only thing she would have said is, do you want like a sexy clown, or do you want the big rubber nose and the floppy shoes and the orange hair?
Becky, she was living with me and my mom when she met Tom. And he had his way with women, and he charmed her into liking him.
Becky was the oldest out of all of us. This is how I remember Becky, because she was happy, she was vibrant, she had the best smile in town. I think she was always looking for that one special love.
She was such a good person, big heart, small in stature, beautiful girl.
There had been many failed marriages in our lives growing up, and I think she wanted it to be successful.
She was head over heels. But then you notice things started to change.
Everything was different about Becky after she married Tom. How she behaved, how she dressed. He kept a close eye on her, on who she was talking to, what she was doing. We very seldom saw her. He would not let her out of his sight. There were several times that I went out to the house that there was an issue with fighting and scratches on Becky's body that I know that Tom created.
I wasn't abusive to her. She started using drugs, so I did get in an altercation with her physically. When she was too high, she had a knife and she was cutting at herself. She called Dila, and that's what I just said. I've tried to tell you, you guys, we need to put her in a program.
I definitely think that Tom got Becky hooked on drugs and convinced her that, oh, it'll be fun.
Becky and I used to have phone calls when Tom wasn't around. Becky would say that Tom was having her use all these drugs and telling her, you'll do it or I'll kill you. This is Becky after she married Tom. She'd lost so much weight, wasn't taking care of herself. And I asked her why she let herself get into this mess. Her answer was always the same, because it's what Tom wanted.
She was under a lot of pressure. She wanted to be a wife, a mother. She wanted a baby, but it was just too much on her.
Becky and I, we always had to communicate because of the kids. And finally we became friends, and she did feel trapped.
I think Becky was tired of being abused, wanted to get out of the relationship and clean of the addiction, but was afraid of what Tom would do to her if she did leave.
It's a scary thing to leave a relationship like that.
Finally, Becky decided to leave Tom. It was my daughter's birthday. Becky was staying with me, and Becky said, I'm just gonna run to the house and pick up some stuff. And I said, please don't go, I don't want you going alone. And she says, no, I'm fine, Tom's not there. Because I'll be real quick, I promise. And I just remember us waiting for her to come back. Why did I ever let her leave my house? At my home, waiting for family members to show up for the birthday party and waiting for Becky to come back. And then we got the phone call from my mom saying that Becky had been shot.
I was at my mom's house. It was me, my stepdad, and my mom, and we were eating dinner. The phone rang. I remember thinking it was odd because she didn't answer the phone the first time, and so it kept on ringing, and so she finally got up and answered it. And she came back and sat at the table, and I don't know how long it was after that she started crying and told me that Becky had died.
My daughter recalls that I felt at my knees and just like, what happened? What's going on?
It's been a long time since I thought about it.
It's okay, buddy.
Yeah, it's all right. Idiot out there. It just, it was a big loss.
I had asked, how did she die? Just like I was trying to wrap my mind around this thing called death, right? And then she told me, she had died by suicide.
Becky had some real problems mentally back then. She was under a lot of pressure. There was a lot of drugs involved, too. This is, you've changed with the drugs. I've had it. I gave her the ultimatum. One of two things is happening. We're going to our family doctor, and if he puts you in a secure facility for substance abuse, you're going, or we're going to a lawyer and I'm filing for divorce, and you're dead to me. You won't see my kids. I'll take you off everything. And she got all upset. She's crying. She's just she's having a breakdown. Oh, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. And she told me, she says, I'd be better off just to take a gun and blow my fucking brains out. I had my own problems back then, too. So I just finally walked out the door. I got maybe 20 feet down the driveway. She is just boo-hooing, and she kind of reaches out for me. And for the life of me, I don't know why I did it. I told her, I'm so fucking sick and tired of hearing about how you want to kill yourself. If you want to kill yourself, fucking do it and put everybody out of your misery. I said, there's some rope downstairs. Maybe you can hang yourself. And that's the last words I told my wife.
Becky was found in the waterbed with a gun on top of her chest, and she'd been shot in the head.
She shot herself, and it was ruled a suicide. All I had to do was just take her hand, hug her, tell her I love her. And instead, for whatever reason, I tell her, my ropes are downstairs, maybe you can hang yourself. And I live with that one. That will probably send me to hell.
I was devastated when I got the call from Tom Randolph Sr., Tom's dad, that she had shot herself. My first thought was, I think he killed her.
I absolutely do not think she committed suicide. I don't recall her ever being depressed enough to be suicidal at all.
She just wasn't that person. She wasn't that person, especially to shoot herself. Becky didn't like guns. She didn't like being around guns. They scared her. Now, if you were talking a handful of pills, maybe, but I don't think so.
Upon investigation by Utah authorities, they determined it was a suicide. However, what they saw at the scene didn't seem right. The blood spatter, Becky's positioning, all of that was inconsistent with a real suicide. But some of the evidence that they could have used was never gathered because the initial crime scene was never treated as a homicide.
Nothing was secured at the crime scene. Nothing was taped off. People were in and out of it, and that Tom actually came back that night and took all the evidence. Tom had redone all the walls. They couldn't find where the bullet may have landed. Everything.
We all knew that Tom had done it. And no matter what we did, nobody would believe us. No matter what we said, nobody would believe us. Finally, that detective, Connolly, he started to believe us, and he started looking into the timeline and everything, and that's when everything broke open.
The detectives found a very critical witness, a gentleman by the name of Eric Tarantino.
Becky's death was ruled a suicide for over a year and a half, until the police and the detectives and the prosecutors found me. I was the only one that could prove that he killed her. My name's Eric Tarantino, and I was the key witness in the murder trial of Becky Galt. I met Thomas Randolph when I applied for a job at Timberline Cabinet Company in Utah. I was 19 years old. He was the foreman of the cabinet shop, my boss. At first, I thought he was a great guy, incredibly smart, studying to be a lawyer, easy to talk to, fun to be around. We became friends almost instantly. We talked a lot about our wives, our lives. You know, you meet somebody, you connect. We were always going fishing, or always going camping, always together. It wasn't long after I met Tom that I met his wife. Everything about Becky was good. She had a great personality. She was funny. She was kind, even to him who treated her like crap. I don't think their marriage was doing good before I met them, because within 2 or 3 months of meeting Becky, he was okay with ridiculing her in front of me, which made me feel uncomfortable. He intimidated Becky a lot.
I know Eric Tarantino was a friend of Becky's. I believe that Becky and Eric became very close.
At some point, the cabinet shop closed a little over a year after I started working there. And Tom came in, he told me, you're out of a job. But if you need work, there's little things I can have you do. You know, you can help me around the house. I was unemployed. I wasn't making a lot of money. At first, the little jobs that he gave me were enough to barely keep myself fed. That's about the time that he started dealing the drugs. He was selling pot. It was no big deal. You know, an ounce here, an ounce there, half ounce here. Back in the 80s, dealing drugs was like selling cars. It wasn't a big thing. Then he started asking me to make deliveries. I did it for money. But it went from dealing pot to cocaine. He was a small-time drug dealer, but he wanted the empire. Gradually, the amounts started to increase. The deliveries increased. The amount of money exchanging hands increased. The amount of danger increased. He had me doing illegal things with no questions asked. I never said no. I think what Tom does is he gets somebody that wants to believe you're buddies. You know, you do this together, you do that together. But in the end, it isn't friendship that you're doing these for. It's a plot. In his mind, it's a plot. A movie script, basically, to groom you to act a certain way. Looking back today, as soon as he met me and got to know me, in his mind, I think it was a matter of days before this plot started to transpire in his head. And now, several months after that, he had me in the perfect spot, and I never saw it coming. It was summertime, and we were out hunting jackrabbits, just Tom and I. We gathered up a couple of rabbits that we got. We get in the truck, and there it came. And he just kind of threw it out there. Didn't look at me. He just, you know, he went to start the truck, and he goes, I want you to kill my wife. And then he looked at me. I want you to kill Becky. It's not an option. And I'm like, what? No. I mean, it was crazy. It was out of a horror movie. His face was stone. I'd never seen it like that. His eyes were like a shark. They were lifeless. He said, you know too much about what we do. You're going to do this, or I'm going to kill you. 3 days later, he took me to his mother's house, his room downstairs, and he opened his bureau drawer in the bottom, lifted up a yellow sweater, and there was 5 life insurance policies on Becky for over $250,000. And he says, you get $10,000 cash. That's it. It was the beginning of a long time of fear and terror, madness. I spent 3 or 4 hours every day rehearsing how to kill Becky. I had to play the game. I should have gotten an Academy Award. Why I didn't run on day one, it was fear. Fear motivated me to stay alive. Fear motivated me to play along, to act the part, to do everything I was supposed to do until I couldn't. You know, after 8 months of the rehearsals, I called my sister Cheryl and I said, I need to be on a plane tonight or I'll be dead in the morning. My sister Cheryl, since I was a little kid, we've always been really close. She's the only person that believed me. She sent me the money. I got on the plane that night. The last thing I did before I got on that plane was I called Becky. I said, there's 5 life insurance policies downstairs and under your yellow sweater. He's going to kill you. And Tom got on the phone on the other end of the line. He goes, what are you doing, Doc? I said, I'm done. I'm done. And I hung up the phone and I ran.
When Becky Ray Randolph died 2 years ago from a gunshot wound to the head, Clearfield police called it apparent suicide. But today, police arrested Randolph's husband on charges of murder.
A year later, I got the call that Becky was dead. Everything started spinning. And I go, he killed her.
Investigators say they had their doubts about the suicide all along, but couldn't act until now.
I told them everything. The state needed my testimony to convict Tom. I was the missing piece